Expected to do well this year, and all started off with the green machine on the inside, the number 9 of Josh Kramer grabbing the first hole shot of the season. Kramer on the inside holds off rookie DeNoble to hold on to the number 1 spot. Not a bad start for DeNoble, but he had to admit that pressure of running up front early would get to him later in the race. Meanwhile, veterans Doug Gust and Rich Pelchat tied up in turn number 1 allows Kramer and Joe Bird to set sail out front. Bird, 2-time series champ, was pressuring Kramer hard early, while one of the young guns, Josh Upperman, was there at the number 3 spot. Before long, that big red number 1 plate of Dustin Wimmer would make his appearance toward the front of the pack. Upperman coming down the big downhill in third, and here comes Wimmer on the comeback trail after a mid-pack start on his rock star, Yoshimura Suzuki. A huge battle developed in the middle of the pack. Clay Holmes, John Natale, Chad Wienen, DeNoble, Russ Shoemaker, Jeremy Lawson, Brown on this new number 99, Brandon Smith and Greg G all tussling just outside of the podium positions. But out front, Kramer on that monster Kawasaki continued to fly. The pressure was on Upperman to hold off the champ for third, and with an inside-outside line, the number 1 rider was into the number 3 spot. But Wimmer was not done. He would eventually displace Bird for second, and then go after Kramer for the lead. Inside line on a double, just could not get his machine over it, and Kramer able to hold the lead. Now back downhill, Wimmer putting as much pressure as he could humanly apply to Kramer, but a nice line by the Kawasaki rider on the inside. He's able to hold the lead, and Wimmer on the long way around loses his last opportunity to take over the number 1 spot. Give credit to the man from New England for holding up under the pressure of the champ all the way down to the checkered flag. Wimmer never let up, but Kramer never relinquished the lead, winning the first moto of the season from wire to wire. A very happy Josh Kramer starts the year off right for Kawasaki. Wimmer and Bird. 32nd board sideways and into the long Talladega first turn we go. This time, though, Wimmer got the start, and by the end of lap 1, he was already out front and setting sail in 2009, just like he did in 2008. There was simply no challenging or stopping the champ in this one. Joe Bird did his best at second to keep him honest, while Kramer had to work his way through to the number 3 spot. Just like in Moto 1, a huge pack battle behind the podium finishers. Clay Holmes, Nick DeNoble, there's Shoemaker Little on Kawasaki's, Jeremy Lawson on a Can-Am, all swapping spots. And that was the battle to watch, as Wimmer began to distance himself from Bird and Kramer. The middle of the pack action was where the action was. Wait till you see this. Have you ever seen this many riders on one section of racetrack at the same time? 8, count them, 8 riders drag racing up the huge Glen Helen uphills. One rider would emerge from the pack to challenge for a podium position in the moto, as Wimmer continued to ride the track like it was his own backyard, and Bird did his best to keep Wimmer honest. Kramer came under pressure from 2005 series champ John Natale on his Warner Racing Can-Am. Natale doing everything he can to get the horsepower to the ground and beat the Kawasaki uphill. It was a phenomenal battle for third that had the Glen Helen crowd on their feet until the Ironman was undone by a rubber tire that had gone flat. Checkered flag is out. Dustin Wimmer wins the moto and a surprise entrant, Jeremy Warnia from France. $250 on the line, Hole Shot Award from MotorcycleUSA.com. The award goes to rookie Nick DeNoble, and bad luck goes to Josh Kramer, down hard in the first turn. Remember, Kramer was a front runner at round number 1. The battle is on early between DeNoble and Wimmer. Josh Upperman right there. Upperman would be very aggressive early on and actually get around Wimmer and take over the lead on lap number 1. But the pack was pushing behind him. You've got DeNoble battling it out here with John Natale, the veteran versus the rookie. And look at zero intimidation from the Iron Man as DeNoble fights back. Soon Wimmer would take the lead from Upperman, and Upperman would do his best to watch Natale discover a new line here on the inside. DeNoble and wide open Chad Wienen will follow him. They do their best to keep Wimmer in sight, but that's not easy. So instead they'd gang up on Upperman and DeNoble moving forward. The Kawasaki and Can-Am riders moving forward, although you can see that Upperman was not willing to give up the charge. And then eventually Natale and Wienen went out with mechanical troubles, opening the door for Joe Bird to move forward into the number 2 spot, while Upperman here held on for third. More trouble for Natale. He was left to just cheer his teammates on. Meanwhile, no troubles at all for Wimmer, who takes his second straight moto victory. 2 straight overalls. 30-second card goes sideways. We're racing at Mill Creek. Josh Upperman will grab the upper hand with the hole shot. We'll be using that joke all year, folks. And he held it for a while. Good job, Upperman, doing his best to hold up under the pressure of Wimmer, while other riders had to scramble from mid-pack like Kramer, Wienen, and Natali. Watch the move that Wimmer puts on Upperman to grab the lead. A great drive out of this corner. And then around this hard right-hand sweeper, he goes twice the distance that Upperman does around the outside and is still able to take the lead. That's why this man is your defending series champ. Then Bird would rally from third to put pressure on Upperman. Upperman would admit he just didn't quite have the same level of endurance that Wimmer and Bird had. As Wimmer continued to pull away out front, Bird did everything he could to try to keep him honest. The veteran two-time series champ knows if he can just stay consistent and keep a little pressure on Wimmer, he might be able to take advantage at some point. Meanwhile, Doug Gus, John Natali, also former series champs, on a roll from mid-pack. Look at the speed that they put forth coming through these whoops. You've also got to watch for Kramer and Wienen on the Kawasaki's, although Wienen would eventually run into mechanical troubles again and fail to finish the moto again. As Wimmer pulled away out front, eventually Natali was able to get to Upperman and battle him for third. No challenge for Wimmer, no challenge for Bird, but congrats out to Natali. After some bad luck in Moto 1, he fights back for third of his own here in Danville. Hole shot award up for grabs. $250 goes to Bird, courtesy of MotorcycleUSA.com. But he had company from Chad Wienen, who immediately put the pressure on, went to the inside, and then holds it around the outside to take the lead from Bird. Wienen, if you remember, was right there with Bird and Wimmer at our last race at Balance MX. Came close to a win, but he was not going to be denied this time. He was on a roll out front. But look at Bird putting pressure right there on Wienen, with Wimmer there in third, and a pair of Can-Ams, John Natali and Cody Miller, pressuring them from fourth and fifth. But soon the big three would begin to distance themselves. Wienen putting distance on Bird, and Wimmer going after his championship rival for second. Finally, Wimmer is able to make that all-important pass that would allow him to extend the points lead just a bit, while Natali and Miller battled, along with the number 9 Kawasaki of Josh Kramer and Josh Upperman right behind the podium positions. What a great battle it was as Natali, the Ironman, tried to get around his young teammate Miller. But up front, Chad Wienen, who people expected to give a challenge to Wimmer all year long, is finally able to do that now that the mechanical gremlins are behind him. But look at Wimmer. He is not impressed with the credentials of Wienen, and he goes after the 44, and they put on an incredible battle. Bird not too far behind this one, hoping these two take each other out or maybe make a mistake. That wouldn't happen. Joe Bird loses a vent line, and the oil drains right out of his engine. Mechanics scrambling to get more oil in there and just trying to patch that thing together. And you know the old rule of motocross, problems before the start lead to hole shots after it. With steam coming out and oil spilling all over his machine, Bird nails his second MotorcycleUSA.com hole shot of the year. And here's a battle for third. Greg G getting just in front of Cody Miller, with Natali and Wienen, who wheelied off the start right behind Wienen. Natali there in the hunt on the Warner Can-Am. Miller still there. Wienen moving up, and finally Dustin Wimmer shows his face toward the front of the pack. As Bird tries to get away, the battle rages. Look at Wimmer and Wienen going at it for third. This time Wimmer ducking to the inside, not able to make that pass. Bird wants to take advantage of this all from out front. Two Kawasaki's and a Suzuki trying to gang up on the Honda in one of the best motos, not only of this season, but in any season. A spectacular 5-rider freight train representing several different manufacturers in this one, and the fans here in Virginia were pumped. Look at Wimmer doing everything he can to try to force his way around Wienen, and finally late in the race, the door is open, and the champion moves into second and then goes after the lead. A quick mistake by Bird, he left the door open, and suddenly Wimmer, in true championship fashion, goes from third to first late in the moto. As close as this championship is, those clutch moves might ultimately be the ones that are remembered for winning a championship for Wimmer, who takes his third overall.